Hi everyone, this is Deekshit. Welcome to my channel. In this particular video, I'm going to discuss about one of the use case I've recently come across. The use case is, as you can see on the screen, scrapping the HTTPS endpoint in Prometheus. The prerequisite for this video to watch is the basic understanding on Prometheus and Kubernetes. If you don't know what Prometheus is, so I have a playlist on my channel. Please do watch it. I'll leave a link in description. And also with this, if you have a basics of shell scripting and Python to understand whatever the workaround that I have, it will be easier. And now let's see what were the problems that I had with the HTTPS endpoints. So that's why I had to go to the workaround and I have to achieve it in a different way. If you want to scrap the data from HTTPS endpoints in Prometheus, so basically we need to provide few of the information to Prometheus like username, password, or a barrier tokens, or a certificate paths. So by using which Prometheus will gonna trigger that particular endpoint and it will get the data from it. But here in my case, I don't have those details. So that's why I had to go with this workaround. And also with this, I had a lot of other problems also with the endpoint. The other problems were whatever the output that will be generated by that particular endpoint will be in a JSON format. As you can see on the screen, this is how it will be. And also you can see here, so each and every field, it is this is key, the whatever the left side, which is a key and which is the application name in my case, and also the right side, whichever the value, which is in a Boolean type. If it is true, so that means my application is up and running. And if it is in false, so that means my a particular respective UI application is not up and running. So this URL basically have the summary of each and every application, whether it is up and running or not. And now, so this JSON data, if I've worked on Prometheus, you'll come to know. So all the data formats will not be understood by Prometheus. Only time series database is what it will gonna understand. So for this to convert it to time series, so I can use a lot of exporters, which will convert it from JSON to the language which will be understood by a particular type. So wherein like here, the main problem is Prometheus accepts only 4 metrics type. So one is counter, gauge, and also we have summaries, histograms. So all these types of metric types only it will accept. In my case, it is a Boolean. If you see the value is Boolean. So that's where I had to do little manipulations in this JSON. So what I did was like I tried converting this true to 0 and false to, true to 1 and false to 0. And then I pushed it as a matrix, wherein like then Prometheus will gonna scrap that and then it will gonna show up in its dashboard. Okay, so to do this, so I have used scripting. So as I said, like this particular Boolean will not be accepted by Prometheus. So that's the reason I had a script wherein like, so I've converted these values into ones and zeros, trues to 1 and false to zeros. And also you can see I've used a Prometheus metric type. You need to define each metric is of what type, whether it's a counter, whether it's a gauge, and also histograms are like whether it's a summaries, you need to define that. And also in my case, I have taken gauge. Why? Because so whenever you define this metric type, so the value can increase or decrease. But when I take about other data type like counter, in that case, it has to be increasing. So that's why. So in my case, it can be 0 or 1. So every once in a while, so my particular the endpoint can change. So that's why I'll gonna make this particular metric type as couch. And also, so then now we will discuss how I've achieved this particular thing by using a simple workaround. So whatever the HTTPS link that I have, so when I do curl it, so definitely, however, you can see here, right? So in the same way, I used to get the output. So that's why what I did is, so I want to convert whatever the JSON I'll get it. So to format which will be understood by Prometheus. So that's where I have one config map. So in which I have the shell script related to that. So now let's go ahead and see this particular shell script. So it is there in Kubernetes repository. So when like I'm gonna put this link also in the description. And under this Kubernetes repository, so I have a folder called as special use cases. And under this, so Prometheus HTTPS JSON. Here I have a lot of files. So one is output.json. So I'm gonna take this because I want to create a dummy endpoint to showcase this particular scenario. So let me go to cube YML. So this is a file I'll be running it to expose whatever the metrics that I'll get it. I'll convert it and I'll expose it in a way which Prometheus will understand. I can see here, so this is a shell script I've used. First thing is I'm doing a curl, and minus S is to suppress whatever the default output will be generated by curl, right? I don't want that downloading and whatever the headers with the headers it'll gonna give some output. I don't want that. So that's the reason I'm doing it. And this link, so there is a website wherein we can create our dummy endpoints, and we can give what will be the output, what will be the input, all those things we can do it. We will do that. So I'm going to show you that. And also if you see here, I have placed this particular output of the endpoint at a particular file. And also if you look at here, I'm doing a JQ, and then I'm converting into this particular type. So if I show it to you, so when I execute this particular command, it will be converted into this format, car true. So basically it is key space value. And then, so I'm taking SCD commands, and also you can see here, I'm making all the trues to 1 and all the false to 0. And now I want to convert it into this format, right? So wherein like, that's why I'm just repeating the each line twice. So I'm duplicating the lines, every line. And also, and all the odd number of lines should be having hash, because I need to define what is the parameter type. So Prometheus metric type. So that's where I wanted to have these two SCD commands. And after that, by using these two AWK commands, so I have made this odd number of instances like ones and zeros to gauge, because this is what my final metric should look like, right? So that's where by using this particular script, I'm doing that. And also if you look at, I'm just placing whatever the output I'm getting at. So I'm placing at user share from final.txt. So this particular files, and I'm gonna explain it. So this script, we will gonna copy it onto the container, and then we will execute it. So it will be ultimately, it will be placed under container itself. And now, so let's go back to slides. And now one shell script and other one is the Python script. So now I have the converted data in file, but Prometheus can't read this particular file, right? It has to be exposed at some endpoint. So then Prometheus can scrap it, and then it can read from that particular endpoint. So that's where I have a small Python script you can see here. So I'm taking one endpoint slash metrics. It's a method get. And also I'm reading whatever is there in this particular file, because I'll be using mounting and all. So that's why I've just referred the same file here. And also it will be exposed as this particular format. And now, so with we have two configs. And now, so what I'll be doing is, you can, if you scroll down to the cube YML, you can see there is one pod which I've created. So by using which, one is to run that shell script and convert the data. Another container is, so it is kind of like Python script wherein it will gonna read the data from the other container, and then it will gonna expose it at some endpoint. And I have one service also. So wherein like, so it will gonna create the node port, because I just want to show how the metrics will be generated in the browser. So that's why I've just created a node port. So, and then this particular endpoint definitely can be exposed. So it will be exposed. So then it can be scrapped by Prometheus. So now we will gonna see that particular one. And also before that, let me explain you what is there in my part definition. If you look at here, so I have one pod only. If you wish to create deployment, you can change this particular definition according to that. And also I've given a metrics pod. And also if you can see here, metrics minus app is labels. You need to make sure whenever you create a service, the label of the pod should match with the selector tag inside the service. Else what happens, like the service is pointed to the wrong pod. So then whatever the request that it will gonna come to this service will be redirected to some other pods. So that's where you need to make sure this selector and the labels match. And also you can see here, so I'm creating three volumes, shared, and also I've given a const script. So wherein you can see here of type config map. So I'm trying to copy this particular conversion script config map onto my pod. And also I have one more thing, which is for other config map, which is Python prom. And also the first one is shared, because whatever the file which will be created in my first container, after the conversion, it will gonna create one file, right? It has to be shared with my Python container. So that's why I have the shared volume. And now when you see the specifications of the container, so I've named my container as JSON to time series conversion. And also I'm using this image. So in this image, so basically I have just curl and JQ. So curl is to trigger that endpoint, and also a JQ I need for the conversion. So that's why I've taken an image which has curl and JQ. And so once this the image has been created, uh, the container will be created, and under that you can see there is a volume mounts. One is shared, because this particular in volume, so wherein I need to place my whatever the converted file, right? So that's where I've used this volume mount. And another one is so to copy my shell script, and the shell script will be copied under user share scripts converter conversion.sh. And now so the arguments will be executed, you can see here. So I'm just doing a copy and to a particular folder, because so I want to change the permission. So somehow whatever the directory I'm in, so wherein like using a config map, I have copied, right? So wherein I couldn't able to change the permission. So that's why I'm just copying it to some other folder. And here, if you see, I'm executing a while loop, because that particular whatever the link that I have, so it will gonna change every 5 minutes. So wherein like to get the status of the application, though I am just taking a dummy URL, but in real time that was changing for every 5 minutes, so that like I want to scrap that particular one, that particular endpoint for every 10 seconds. I've given 10 seconds here. If it is, if you know how many for how much minutes it will gonna update, so then you can do a sleep for that much time. And here it is very simple. I'm just changing the permissions of the script, and then I'm executing it. So when it executes, you can see it will gonna run all these steps, and it will gonna place the converted data, which will gonna placed under user share prom final txt, and which will be there in this particular volume. You can see user share prom. And now the next container, expose metrics, because Prometheus can't read it from this particular file. So that's why I'm exposing it as a matrix. And you can see I've taken a Python 3 image, and also you can see volume mounts. This is shared across this particular container and this particular container. In this case, what happens? So whatever the file, the output file is created by this container is placed under user share prom, and then now it is shared by this particular container. And now, so this particular volume mount is to copy the Python files onto this container. So once it is copied, you can see I'm doing a pip install. So whatever the required modules or dependencies I'm installing. And after that, you can see I'm doing a while loop. This particular script also runs for every 10 seconds. So that's why it'll be up to date with whatever the container I have it. And also, if you know the time, what is the delay, how much time, in how much time that particular endpoint will gonna update. So you can take that and then you can do it. And also now let's execute this. So I'm not sure. So this particular website provides only 50 free API calls. So let me access it, and I'll just check what output I'll get it. You can see too many requests. So that's why what I'll do is, so let's go to this particular website. So let us create one endpoint. So what I'll do is Dikshit dot DevOps. I'll just create this endpoint. Okay, let me take off this, and yeah, you can see the endpoint. For me, one of the endpoint will be created now. When you see, what we will do is we can take this, and also we can create some mocking rules. So means our own dummy endpoints. So let's go ahead and create that. Create a new rule, and so I'll give my endpoint name as app status, and then you can see it's a get, and I don't want any response headers, but I want the response body. So what I'll do, I'll just copy it from here, output JSON, and then when I take it here, just save the rule. And okay, so when I cancel it and copy this and give app status, so when I do this, you will be able to see the output in the JSON. This is just to replicate whatever the scenario I've got. But when I worked on it, so I had a real URL wherein like it will gonna update the statuses of the application. But to replicate that, I'm just creating this endpoint, dummy endpoint, and I'm using it in my particular config maps or scripts. And now also here in this particular folder, I have one more object, which is service, because once the matrix is created and I'm exposing at 5000, so that's why I'm just creating a service, and you can see target port is 5000. So this is a container port and this is a service port, and type I've given as node port. So it will gonna create one on particular some node port. I'll be able to access in the browser too. So with once this is deployed, and I have prometheus.yml also. So this is very simple. I have one config map, so which is in which I have already given what is my because I know my service name. If you look at here, cube.yml, my service name is metrics endpoint, and also I'll have the port as 5000. So that's why if you see my Prometheus YML, I have already defined that. So this particular Prometheus.yml is the place wherein we need to give the information about our endpoint. You can see this is Prometheus.yml. So I'm creating a Prometheus deployment also, so wherein I'm copying these values and all. So you can see here, so this part is important. So I've given some job name, and you can see what is the target and on what port I can scrap it. And then, so I'm creating a service to access through the browser and outside the Kubernetes cluster. A very simple one. And also if you see, I'm specifying the config file as etc prometheus, prometheus.yml. So whatever the config map that I've shown before will be copied in this particular folder. And also that I'm referring it in my arguments. First, what we will do is we will gonna deploy this Prometheus, and then we will deploy our actual workaround. So now let me get on to my particular Kubernetes cluster. I'm already in my Kubernetes master, and I've already cloned that particular repo. So let me go into special use cases, and here, sorry. So let me go into Prometheus, HTTPS, JSON. And before that, let me confirm if any things are there. Okay, there are few things. I guess let me delete those things. kubectl, delete, and I'll gonna Prometheus is already there, I guess. So let it be, and I'll just delete this particular part. And also, if you want to access this Prometheus, so definitely I need to access it via node port. So let me get my node IP. So this is the one, and also 30,000 is the port that I'm exposing it, and you can see the Prometheus is coming up. And also this particular URL has to be updated in my particular file, so let us do that also. Also with this, I'll gonna delete. Maybe I've deployed this setup before, so that's why it is. You can see these are the things which are there. kubectl. Let me delete these things also. Delete cm and conversion script, as well as this Python prom. And also let me delete the service. I guess service is also, while I've created this one service, and the service name is UI. So it's just for cleaning up. And now, so let us update this cube YML with the new endpoint that we have. So let me do that. And let us take this off. And let me save this particular file. So once I've saved, and now let's go to the Prometheus, and also we will see the targets. So you can see still there is a target. Okay, this also we will redeploy it, because you can see which is not updated one. So that's why. So let me delete that also, and then let's create the new one. So I have created with this file itself, right? So I can do delete -f and Prometheus YAML. So with this, when I do it, you can see all things are deleted, and when I try to access now, it will be unreachable. So now we will do kubectl apply -f prometheus.yml. So that's created. Now we will try to re-access it. It should come up. You can see now, you can see it. And also targets. So maybe Prometheus is still trying to scrap that. So you can see, but at least now metrics endpoint. But why? Because I have deleted. You can see our cube YML. So our service name is different, right? So we need to give this service name as there. It was UI. So wherein like now my service is metric endpoint. So that's why I've redeployed it. And now we have changed that particular URL, right? So now let's go ahead and deploy apply -qym, and when I do that, you can see config map services pods has been created, and kubectl get all. I'll do. You can see Prometheus pod and even the metric pod both are running. And now when I go to my Prometheus, you should be able to see when I refresh it, this endpoint also should. Okay, yeah, you can see now it is in an up state. And also when I go here, and so my endpoint, so here it is cart and all, right? So now when I just search for that particular application cart, you can see okay, I'll just go to classic UI, and when I search for cart, and you can see execute, so you can see there is a one value. And what we will do is quickly we will update this endpoint. Let me refresh it to make this okay. So mocking rule, let me quickly update this, and I'll make this as false. So let's see whether it will gonna get impact there or not. And now when I just retry this particular endpoint, you can see it has been wrongly updated. So false. Now when I do here, you can see false, and also we will see in the cart. See, you can see it has been updated. Before it was 1, now it has been updated to 0. So that's why wherein like my particular script will gonna run for every 10 seconds, and it will gonna change the values here as well. And also so this particular website, whatever I've used, which will gonna get me like only 50 times I can hit it. So that's why that particular constraint I have. And also wherein like you can see now, so by using this, I can create the alerts. So wherein I can send out a mails, specific teams wherein like this application is not up and running. So by which I can send the alerts to. Okay, so that's it for this video. So if you've liked the video, please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you. Have a good day.